My name is Hadai Prana. I'm a resident monk here, and whenever I get a chance to speak, I always take the time to reflect. How the hell did I even get up here? It's- who let me in the door? So as today's topic we're going to discuss is moral regeneration. Sounds fancier than. I mean, it's a pretty interesting topic. Um, as we get older, we and the years start to pass, you start to question actually, what do I what do I stand for? Anybody in their 20s still? Anybody hit their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s? Okay, well, we're not getting to that. Ca- Carmen is the youngest out of all of us. She has the most youthful energy. She she did the challenge and she was running up and down these stairs all the whole time. So one thing we have to examine is, if we don't stand, what are our values? We don't stand for anything, then we'll fall for everything, right? It's like that old, what was that thing? She goes down the hole. Um, uh, Alice in Wonderland. And Alice, Alice in Wonderland. And then so the Mad Hatter asks when she gets the tree, "Where do you want to go?" She's like, "I don't know." And what she say? "Any road will take you there. If you don't know where to go, any road will take you there." So we're going to be speaking a little bit about morality. Morality, I looked up a dictionary definition. It's defined as principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong, or good and bad behavior. I thought this was a pretty good definition, but in one sense, right and wrong are in the eye of the actor. Yes? And so, without a framework of values, you can justify, and people do, absolutely anything. And whatever I do is the most correct thing, right? And have you had an experience of people who have done that before? Have you done that yourself? As you know, who do these things? Kids, right? Kids have no sense of moral framework, so they will go and tell somebody what is on their minds. If you ever want good advice of exactly like how, let's say, like if you're trying on a shirt and then you want to see if it looks good or not, you just go up to a kid. They'll just tell you this is ugly. And they have no way of understanding that this is right or this is wrong. So we have this example of morality, and we have world leaders, we have corruption, we have crime, we have nepotism, and so on and so forth. And the amazing thing is, every single person who's doing everything in the world today thinks that they're doing the best thing and the correct thing. And the best thing is, everybody else thinks they're wrong. Amazing. We are all in such different headspaces. And I'd like to tell you a quick story. And the story is about a child. A child wants to join a Christian monastery. And he knocked on the door, and then he meets the abbot. The abbot means the head of the monastery. And he says, "I would like to join your monastery." And the abbot thought for a while, and he said, What are you good at? What are your qualifications? What have you contribute to the monastery?" In Sanskrit, we say ashram, but this is a monastery. So, and then the child thought for a second, and he's like, "I don't know. I don't know what to say." And he said, "I was a good chess player. And then so immediately the abbot brings him into the monastery, and he says, "Okay." He puts him in front of another monk, and he says, "Okay, play chess." But and the second monk that was playing chess, he's very well loved, and he's a very senior monk. And he said, "But wait 1 second before you move the first chess piece." He's telling the boy, "If you win, you can join the monastery, but I'm going to cut the other monk's head off." I promise that's not what happened when I moved in here. I mean, maybe we'll do it to you guys, but not. But if the senior monk wins, then neither can you join the monastery. I will cut your head off. So now the stakes are really have gone high, and maybe a case of kidnapping in this situation. And when the match started, the old monk was maneuvering. He knew how to move the chess pieces, and the boy started sweating. He started thinking like, okay, I am gonna die today. You know, I've put it. I've. This is it. I shouldn't have knocked on that door. But he put his mind to it. He started to focus. You know, he said, I got to focus. Then he turned the game around, and now it's in a few moves the little boy would have won. And finally, the old monk, then he started, once he was only like two moves away from a checkmate, he looks at the old man, the old monk, and he just saw in his face, he's sweating. He's like, what did I get myself into? I was just in here. He lived a life of purity, lived a life of sacredness. And the little boy started to have some second doubts and basically said, I'm going to throw the game. So he started making all the wrong moves. And in the corner, he sees the abbot, the person who let him in. And finally, when the old monk was about to win and checkmate, this abbot takes his sword and slices the chessboard. Not that. Okay. It's a kid's show. And so and then both of them were like, this was a intense game. So the abbot told the young monk, he said, now you're qualified to join the monastery because you'll learn the two lessons of an amazing journey. The first lesson is a strong mind. Having a strong mind when it gets tough, the tough gets going. And you're concentrated, you focus. But then once you focus, once you put your mind to it, what happened after that? You realize you need a sensitive heart. So both things are required. So we have this, we need competence, but we also need character. We need intelligence, but we also need integrity. So character is needed. We need to build our character up. So actually today, in terms of what is needed in this world, morality, ethics, values, character, these are the things that are actually needed in this world. If you ask 50 years ago, what were the biggest problems in schools? I mean, many of you are teachers. You're a teacher. Ritu's not here. A few, maybe your teachers. Yeah, it's probably like chewing gum, paper on the floor. I don't know if you in my school we had these old school like pencil sharpeners, and then I would always hit my knuckle when I because it'd be attached to the wall. Anyway, now we have the mechanical pencil. But now if you look at what is the main problems of school today, I looked it up. The main three problems, if you can boil it down to that, is mental health, gun violence, and teenage pregnancy. Kids these days. So in this day, actually, morality, character, and ethics are what is most needed. I like somebody with a big, loud voice to read this wonderful poem that I found. Maybe Krishna, he have a good voice.
Paradox of time. The paradox of our time in history is that we have taller buildings but shorter tempers, wider freeways but narrower viewpoints. We spend more but have less. We buy more but enjoy it less. We lose our health to get wealth, but we use that wealth to get the health back. More experts but less solutions. We have conquered outer space but struggling with inner space.
Relevant. It's that we say we're the most advanced civilization, that this is the epitome. When I remember when I first moved here, the senior monk here, he brought me to Times Square. We do sometimes this musical meditation in the center of Times Square. Don't ask us how we got permission to do meditation in Times Square. And he brought me there and he said, look, he said, Hadai, This is all the material world has to offer you. Is this everything that you dreamed about? Ramray Proof, you know. And and I looked around and I looked at all the people that are suffering and just kind of like, and Elmo and all the characters, naked people, you know, a naked cowboy. They're even he's well dressed compared to some people that I saw. But I just looked at it as like, wow, it's kind of like in the in the Vedic teachings, it's kind of like a camel. A camel in the desert, it goes up to a cactus. And he's like, wow, a beautiful cactus. And he just chomps on it. He eats it. But what happens? Why does he eat the cactus? Because he says there's a beautiful flavor in the cactus. A flavor that he's never tasted before in anything else. But what is the flavor of the cactus? It is the thorns of the cactus piercing his tongue, and he's drinking his own like blood. So this is kind of what the situation that we're kind of put in, is that we're sold this big picture of that you need to do this by your 25, you need to do this by your 30, you need to do this by your 35. But has anybody stopped and thought like, hey, why am I not happy? Why am I not feeling content? Why are people that have achieved all these things not the people that I want to look up to? Thought about it? Now you're thinking about it. So I wanted to share with you a dharmic perspective on on values and ethics, and more essentially morality. So in Dharma, in the Dharmic texts, there are three things that we do not equate, which is growth, progress, and happiness. So Sanskrit traditions show difference between growth. You know, you could grow, yeah, like growth, progress, and happiness. You can grow your GDP. You can grow your intellectual capacity. You could grow your like how you dominate nature, but that doesn't mean that you're progressing. But what terms growth into progress is ethics and humanity. You need some heart to take growth into progress. And what turns progress into happiness? Because you could just be progressing up and up and up the corporate ladder, and you know, up and down, like, you know, chutes and ladders, snakes and ladders, you know. It's like snake, 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 and then ladder, ladder, ladder. Then one big snake takes you from 99 to 50. Maybe I'm dating myself with these board games. So progress turns to happiness when there is spirituality and contribution. This is really the blueprint of dharmic teaching. So this is a very ancient Sanskrit manuscript. Historians have very conflicting datings, but historians have agreed that the Indian or the Indic traditions is one of the oldest, along with the Chinese, the Egyptians, the Mesopotamians. Most scholars agree that the Vedic age was between 7 to 8,000 BC. And a lot of the texts that that I'm referring to today, many scholars say that it originated in 1500 BC, but in the texts themselves, they mentioned that they're from 3000 BC. So there's a huge breadth of knowledge. You know, the books that we study, like the Bhagavad Gita. Has everybody have the Gita? Heard of the Gita? The Gita is how many verses? Anybody knows? 700. There's books that we study here, and you can have one also, that are 18,000 verses, and that's like a medium or small to medium text. There's books that have 100,000 verses, 140,000. The Mahabharata is considered the longest poem in the world, and I think it's over 110,000 verses. So there's so many texts, so much knowledge, and actually a lot of it was lost due to different conquering powers and so on and so forth. But the underlying theme that the great teachers in our tradition show is that the underlying concept that is to be attained is dharma. Dharma can be translated in many, many different ways. Dharma, some people translate as righteousness, some people translate as religion, but in how we're going to define it tonight is the progressive way of life. And where we're getting that from is dharma comes from the root word dri. Everybody say dri. Dri, very good. So dri means that which holds up, that which sustains. Another aspect of dri is coming. You see, like you see how Sanskrit works. It's like a, a piece and a piece and a piece. As dhru, say dhru, dhru, and dhru. The word dharma is coming from that. It means a pole or an axis in which everything revolves around, an axis which everything else runs through. So that's what dharma is that it's the thing that everything else runs around. The most progressive way to live. What is the most progressive way to live? The Vedic literatures describe 4 different stages of life. And they're not necessarily one after the other. They overlap, they merge. But on a high level, there is dharma, say dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So artha means once you've established your dharma, what is basically the most progressive life, then actually people go towards artha. And artha means economic development. You have to make money, you have to have a house, you have to have, a white fence. I don't know what else do people do this. There's so many things, artha. That can also mean fame, power, and so on and so forth. Then kama means the fulfillment of my desires. And you have to fulfill your desires, right? You don't want to live a life where you have regrets, you know? And then after you've done dharma, then you've done artha, then you've done kama, then you have to think about moksha. Moksha, in the literal sense, the definition means release, liberation, which is the mature stage. You start to see things that are kind of entangled you throughout your whole life. And now you start to see, okay, you see a lot of maybe when you're a little older, you're starting like, okay, I have to start thinking about where am I going to go after this? So, but the point I'm trying to bring at is artha, kama, and moksha all base itself on dharma. If you want to live a fulfilling life, either materially or spiritually, it can only rest on dharma. There's a verse, and it's called dharma rakshita rakshita. Means that if you protect dharma, dharma will protect you. So those who earn artha, like those who earn money, without dharma, and what will happen is their influence or their money will drown them. How many people know people in this world who are very, very rich, but very, very miserable? Yes. So people will earn, and they may be very successful, but they're actually sometimes the most unhappy. The most successful people do the most destructive things to themselves and the most destructive things to others. Have you noticed that? It's kind of like, I knew one guy in high school. He was like really, really wealthy. Parents are really, really wealthy. And I got news maybe like a year ago that he actually passed away in a drug overdose, you know? So like, why do people do all sorts of hard drugs that kind of make you overdose? Is because you're trying to escape out of the pain of reality. You're trying to escape out of what you're living in. That's why you want to go to something else, right? So artha and subsequently from artha, kama, built on a life that's not dharmic, is ultimately not going to be successful. This is amazing because it shows the teachings of the East. It's not a Sunday church thing. You go on Sundays and you hear something, or you do something on Fridays, and you just go do something, and that's just something you keep at the temple, the church, or the mosque, or anything like that. It's something that is supposed to be intertwined into every aspect of your life. It's a philosophy that's supposed to be harmonious to everything that we go through. So this is amazing. It's a marriage of our life and our spirituality, and marrying the material and the spiritual in a way. The material and spiritual, we think they're like oil and water. Have you put oil and water together? They separate, but in such a way that's sustainable, and it doesn't cause harm to your environment, doesn't cause harm to the people around you, and doesn't cause harm to, most importantly, you. So when people pursue artha and kama, we've noticed this, right? When people are just after artha and kama, artha, I'll define again. Artha means what? Success, material pursuits, so on and so forth. Kama means fulfillment of desires. So have you noticed that when people are after just artha and kama, it's usually at the detriment to everybody around them? I noticed when I was in college, we were going through when I was going to like interviews and this and that, and actually we would all, when we were sitting in the interview, one guy had already gone for the interview. He would just completely be silent. He didn't want to share what his experience with the interview, because why? Because he wanted the job. He hoped we would fail so that he could be successful. I remember going to my first interview. I was like, I dressed up in a suit and tie. Now you use your imaginations to put me in a suit and tie. I was just sitting there in the interview, just kind of like, okay. And my mom told me to do this. This is what you do when you're a senior in college. I was just sitting there, and I got through 2 rounds of interviews, and it was for, I don't know if you PwC, some big accounting firm or something. And then I'm like, okay, this, and then the 3rd interview, I was like so nervous, and I got so like, this is not what my life is going to be about, suit and tie, and I just walked out. I walked. I'm like, this is like so dumb. Anyway, I had to do an interview to get in here also. Like, this one I wasn't so nervous about. They're like, what can you cook? No, it was really nice. It worked out how it's supposed to work out. So when people pursue artha and kama, it's at the detriment of other people. And I'm just going to say a few more things about what is actually dharma and what it has to do with moral regeneration. So dharma can be divided into 3 individual aspects. And this is amazing if we understand it. There's, let's say it together, manushya dharma, swadharma, and sanatan dharma. So the first thing you do, actually, I don't know if anybody's gone to school in India, the first thing you do when you're a kid, and we actually used to do it in morning, we used to have morning exercises, I don't know, in school. It's like recess, but you do it the first thing in the day. And actually you do pranayam. You'd start learning about your breathing. That's the first thing you do as a kid. You have to learn how to breathe. And so teachers would teach them actually what is manushya dharma. And what is manushya dharma? It is the foundation. It's the foundation of a basic moral life. You can learn from the Bhagavad Gita what manushya dharma. There's this verse in the 16th chapter. Ahimsa satyam akrodas tyagaha shantarapaishunam daya bhuteshvalo luptvam ardhavam hrira chapalam. So these qualities were imbibed in the children. Ahimsa, non-violence. Satyam, truthfulness. Akrodas, what to do when you get angry. Don't get so angry. Akrodas, tyagaha, detachment. Shanti, simplicity, free from the flickering mind. And so it was already understood, if you don't have manushya dharma as a foundation, these good qualities, then actually whatever you do, it doesn't have any positive impact. So the next, what was taught after manushya dharma is this basic, like how to be a good human, is swadharma. Swadharma is on the individual level. Shakespeare said something, if wealth is lost, something is lost. If health is lost, more is lost. And if character is lost, everything is lost. So the teachers would teach Svadharma. Okay, you're a good human. Now what? Svadharma is every one of you has a different psychophysical nature. We're all good at something, right? We're not good at everything, but we're good at something. We're excelling at something. So the biggest problem of modern educational systems is that we teach everybody the same thing in the same way, right? Certainly there are things that everybody needs to know, but in the ancient Vedic texts, it's mentioned that if we can identify what is your Svadharma at a beginning age, couldn't we just teach you and you could be so much better at what you're actually good at? Like Jabari, for example, an incredible musician. Why did he have to learn who the 13th president was? I mean, it's good. It's good. Who's the 13th president? He said James. You know, he said James. That was like you did an odds. You did just like, okay, what's the most generic name I could think of? What's the most generic name I could think? Yeah, James. I don't know. I don't know. But it's true. Like, why do we have to learn all these things that are not so applicable to our lives? If I was just like from the age of 4, Jabari is just learning all types of musical instruments, music theory, beats, all these things. It would be amazing. He wouldn't like Albert Einstein said, if you judge a goldfish based on how well it can climb a tree, it will always think that it's stupid, right? Because it's not meant to do that. So a certain way, it's the teachers would look at you. What is your individual propensity? And that can change over time. That can definitely change over time. And in my freshman year, I wanted to be a doctor. You know, I took my first biology class, and then I'm like, I am not a doctor. So you have your foundation, then you'd have your individual. The third thing that was taught to you is Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma is your highest aspiration. It's while there is a correct way, a right way to live in this world in harmony with nature, but we have an existence that is beyond this world, that is eternal reality, that has an eternal journey aspect to us. So we must understand that purpose as well. So if you start life with these type of values, then life becomes a lot more clear. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha, all aspects of life are cleared. So we share this because we want to build here in Brooklyn, we want to build a community of people who are working in harmony with nature and working in harmony with their own propensities, and to build a foundation, a group of people that are spiritually conscious and living in harmony with nature, and that could affect society. You know, they say like, think globally, act locally. So you see all the issues that are happening in the world, and we'll be discussing one or a few, many of those. Then what are we going to do now? What are we going to do right now? So last thing I will share, this is my last point, is that Dharma was not just based on the individual. Dharma was also based on the wider society. It was mentioned, and that is called Loka Dharma. Say it. I was mentioned and stressed that these were the pillars, and Loka Dharma rests on 4 pillars. It's mentioned. It's truthfulness, cleanliness, compassion, and austerity. Everybody say tapa, daya, socham, satyam. Oh, I got a Sanskrit professors here. So austerity is very important for a civilization to forego immediate pleasures in pursuance of something that's much better. Don't give up what is most important for what feels good now, right? This is the issue that many people are facing. They just want to do what feels good now, what feels good now, what feels good now. But think about 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line. Well, how's that going to look like in your life, you know? So when individuals have restraint and resist temptation, and and actually it forms a pillar of progressive society. Next one, I was thinking cleanliness. Cleanliness, it's of course keeping your bedroom clean, keeping your space clean. One of my friends in California, I went to his dorm room at Berkeley, and he's a pretty clean guy. Then I saw his roommate. Oh my god, it's like he had his bed everywhere, his papers on the floor. The worst part, he had eaten out of a paper plate and just laid it on his bed. I'm like, oh my gosh. But you know what that shows? That shows that it's a disturbed mind. It's only when you're in a disturbed mind do you keep your place untidy. And so, and also in one of the great teachers, they say that to keep things clean is also freedom from a tendency to exploit others. That is also cleanliness. To when you to exploit others is also not very clean. To cheat others, you know, like they say even like people who lie. Have you known people who lie a lot? When they lie a lot, it actually pollutes the atmosphere, becomes a place of lying almost. So when we look at the problems of the world, we can clearly see actually a lot of the problems come from these little roots. So there's also truthfulness. You can see a sign of civilization crumbling when leaders become dishonest, leaders fail to show integrity, and therefore truthfulness is lacking. How much misinformation is out there? How much manipulation is out there? How much cover ups do people have? And it's what? Because there's no truthfulness. And compassion, it's not just for one's community in the dharmic perspective. It's about everything you interact with. Compassion for the animals, compassion for the environment. So the ancient Vedic civilizations point to individual dharma and also social dharma. And this is my last point. And if we get everybody in this room, and what steps can you take even like today to leading a more dharmic life? I would say is to read some of these ancient Vedic literatures and to incorporate a meditation practice into your own life. I would recommend the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, or the reading of the Bhagavad Gita, or a book like this, because Krishna is speaking about this, and it's like a manual for life. Arjuna is just in the battlefield. His family has caused so many problems, and he's like, I don't want to live on a world in a kingdom that is watered with the blood of my own family. The Bhagavad Gita didn't happen in a yoga studio. Didn't happen at Bhakti night. Happened in the middle of a war field. So it's very applicable to our own life to inquire about what's my dharma. What is my loka dharma? What is my sanatan dharma? What is my sva dharma? What is my manusha dharma? These are things to think about. I'll pause there. Is there any quick questions or comments that we can entertain, or anything we can answer? Yes.
I just want to ask you so I don't forget. I love how you worded something about people. The point, I'm not going to say it the way, because I don't want to forget how you said it, and I already forgot. But the point was that you were making was when you were talking about how people don't want to see you do good. They want to see you. But I liked how you worded it. You said something about they don't want to see you succeed. But you worded it differently. You said they'd rather see you fail.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Now I forgot what I said. Man, I made a really good point.
You did, and it's the way you say it. It's how you
yeah.
worded
That
it.
was during the interview
Yeah.
when somebody didn't share the answer with you after the interview.
Yeah. They were withholding
About
the
what the interview was
experience.
about.
They were.
Like they would rather see you.
Yeah, in the context of
They didn't
trying
want
to
to tell you the information about how
Right,
They'd
it's
rather
Yeah.
see you fail in the interview.
Yeah,
So
I
they
wanted
could,
to hear how.
so
I
they
just
could
wanted
get
to remember how you said it because it was so good.
Yeah, I was thinking that this was in respect to Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Yeah, this was it, right? I was. It's
He was right. You started it with rather.
rather.
Or they would rather see you fail.
I think it's to try to get artha and karma
Yeah.
without dharma.
Yeah. Without dharma.
Right. So that's why.
And then we also, it's to the detriment of the people around. That's what I remember.
Right.
We'll look at the recording.
So, yeah.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay.
Everybody follow us on Bhakti School NYC YouTube page.
Right, sure, so-
Cut this out. Cut this out. Any other questions or comments that I can? Yes.
In relation to kind of what you were mentioning, but with Artha and Kama, so gaining success, but and also fulfilling your desires, but even with Dharma, right? Even with compassion, with a level head, and isn't it though that no matter what you do, someone else will or something else will kind of suffer, even if you don't know about it. Not necessarily to like a big detriment, maybe. Like, we walk outside, we go in the grass in the park, we're stepping on ants.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is a concept in this material world. It's understood there in the Vedic literatures. There's a Sanskrit phrase, "Jivo jivasya jivanam." That means that every living entity is sustaining on another living entity's pain or pleasure. So it is not about that we cannot inflict pain upon anybody. Like Arjuna, perfect example. Arjuna, if he wanted to become a monk and to go to the forest, and you think that, oh, the most religious thing for him to do is to not fight and be peaceful and ahimsa and all this. Krishna's like, no, get up, get up, pick up your bow and fight, because that is what your dharma is. So if a warrior's dharma is to fight for the right causes, then he must do his dharma. And so, and actually, if you're aligned with your dharma, then actually you don't cause as much suffering as you would if you weren't have been aligned. But it's not possible in this world to live without the fruit this action. So that's why I would be. Yes, Jabari?
After you read the Gita, what would you say is a good next text?
I really love the Gita. It was amazing. I mean, I'm reading the Gita now. There's many, like Keshav Swami wrote a Gita. And I really like, after that, if you read Science of Self-Realization, that's a really good book. The Krishna book, it's about getting to the personality Krishna. It's kind of like you're a teacher and it's like, but then you see your teacher at like Walmart, you're like, he doesn't live at the classroom? Like, he's not just like this, he has a life, so learning a little bit more about Krishna. And eventually I really like the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is kind of like where the Gita and the Mahabharata ends off. And basically, I can get into a whole thing about the Bhagavatam. It's an amazing book, and there's so many lessons to be learned in there. It's 18,000 verses, and we read it every morning. I personally read like 40 pages of it every day, and it's sustained me. Carmen is reading; she's on the fourth. There's 12 cantos. Carmen's on the fourth canto. Let's give her a read. Takes a while to get there, so I would recommend those. No problem. Anything else?
How do you know that when you're following dharma, then how do you know the dharma you're following is right? What is
I was gonna ask that.
So it's a little hard to do it by yourself. So that's why you need a guide. You need somebody who knows you. Like I always, whenever I feel like I'm situated rightly in my dharma now, but I have spiritual mentors that look at it from an unbiased perspective, and they can see that, okay, I'm slipping up. Like in the perfect example in the monastery, we upstairs. If you didn't know already, where there's monks who live here, and we live upstairs, and we practice spirituality. And see, this weekend we had the Be a Monk challenge, but it's full, so ignore it. We have a lot. You can join the next one. But anyway, one thing that us monks do is that when we see somebody kind of like, it's not like it'll go like 100 to 0. It's like 100 to 95, 90, 85, 80, 75, 70. And so when somebody slips up, and it takes our friend to be like, hey, like Gopal Pran is always like, hey, wake up, it's time to wake up, 4 o'clock, so you need people in your life to call you out. Actually, it's kind of like we live in a culture of like, we never want to be corrected by anybody. We don't want to take guidance from anybody. The only person we take guidance from is ChatGPT. It's literally. I so I would really recommend finding some mentors that kind of know all the aspects of your life, not just your spiritual life, not just your material life. They know you as a complete whole. Or if you don't have a person that overlaps those two things, have like a material life and a spiritual life, and then and see where, find the middle ground of that. And so that's been the biggest helping factor for me, is spiritual mentors have a vision for yourself greater than what you have for yourself. It's amazing. I never thought that I would be in a position of spirituality that I am in now, but my spiritual teachers had that vision for me. So I would say try that, and also having friends that you can share your heart with, and also reading up yourself, because um, the quality of gold is you need to know the quality of gold to know what gold is, right? So I'll just pause there. It's 8:30. Yeah, I'm happy you like that. So thank you very much. I promise it's not me speaking. There's more serious people who come. It's just not my personality to be serious. So we'll just do a little more kirtan. Is that okay? Is that allowed? Is that recommended? So we'll do a little bit more kirtan. We'll do a little music meditation. And so I found a lot of solace in this type of meditation, because one focus that I have is I try to forget every single thing that I have going on in my life, like what train I'm going to take home after this. Is there more lasagna left? You know, forget all that. You know, and really focus on just hearing the mantra again and again, just for 20 minutes. Make an experiment. Worst thing that could happen, I don't know what's the worst thing that could happen. And if you feel inclined, and if you feel like, yeah, it's natural, you can stand up, you can dance, express yourself. We're not so much a um, silent meditation group. We believe that silent meditation is good for calming the mind, but just like a jar, if you have a jar and if you clean it and you put it back on the shelf, what will happen? It'll get dirty again. But if you clean a jar and then you start putting good stuff in it again, and you use it all the time, then actually it'll stay clean. So that's why the Hare Krishna mantra is the good thing that you can add. So we'll chant a little bit. Oh, Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everyone. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Oh! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo! Thank you, everybody.